Politicians have always been some of the phoniest people among us, but we now have the phoniest president in history, and he, of all people, is worried about looking phony.
How would I look walking a dog on the White House lawn? Would that be... right? Sort of not for, I don't know, it doesn't, I don't feel good. Feels a little phony to me.
The president, who has large blanks on his schedule called executive time, also claimed that he doesn't have the time to walk a dog. And he might actually be telling the truth about that, because walking a dog would take time away from playing golf. And Donald Trump is the golfiest president of all time. Some observers theorized that Donald Trump would quickly end the government shutdown that he started 3 days before Christmas as soon as he realized it wouldn't look cool for him to go to Florida as planned and golf away the rest of the year. But he toughed it out at the White House right through Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and then waved goodbye to his wife when she decided she'd had enough and chose to spend the rest of the holiday period in Florida, making the decidedly anti-romantic choice of leaving the president all alone in the White House on New Year's Eve. And he proved to America that he was working on New Year's Eve with this video.
Well, I'm at the White House working. You're out there partying tonight, but I don't blame you.
So generous of him not to blame you for partying on New Year's Eve, and so stoic of the president to tough it out in the White House and not play golf for the entire 35-day government shutdown. Or so we thought, until David Fahrenthold's reporting today in the Washington Post that Donald Trump has a $50,000 machine that allows him to play golf inside the White House. Pulitzer Prize-winning Trump investigative reporter David Fahrenthold will join us next for tonight's last word. Presidential candidate Donald Trump was absolutely certain that presidents should not play golf.
When you're in the White House, who the hell wants to play golf?
Turns out no one in White House history has played golf more than Donald Trump. And he can now play golf inside the White House, and we know that thanks to the work of Washington Post reporter David Fahrenthold, who won a Pulitzer Prize for his investigative reporting Inside Trump World, which exposed the real workings of the Trump Foundation. David Fahrenthold's new reporting on the president will surely be used by future historians to fill in those big empty spaces on the president's schedules called executive time. And joining us now with his latest scoop is the Washington Post, David Fahrenthold. And David, you have provoked a response from the White House with your reporting today. The White House, which cannot be believed about anything ever, issued this statement saying the president replaced the old system that was there. He paid for the new one, including installation personally. He has not used it since it's been installed. In fact, that means we have no idea who paid for it. We have no idea how much he uses it, because there's not a person in that press office who can be believed about anything.
Well, one part of that we were able to check was that, indeed, President Obama did have one of these things. It was supposedly a less sophisticated version than what Trump has installed. Trump has got the top of the line. That's the one part we had some outside source on. We checked that. That turned out to be true. The other part, I have the White House's word on, and that's it.
Yes. And so this is coming at a point where people have been wondering, how did he survive the 35-day shutdown, not being able to go to his golf courses every weekend? And we now have reason to suspect, at minimum, that he was able to work on the swing inside the White House.
That's right. I mean, obviously, there's a history of presidents installing fitness equipment around the White House. Besides the golf simulator Obama put in, there's bowling alleys, there's tennis courts, all kinds of things like that. So it's not unusual that presidents would put in a way to pursue their hobby at the White House. What's different in this case is that President Trump, as you pointed out, spent lots and lots of time criticizing President Obama for playing too much golf, and also that Trump has sort of established this precedent of lots of periods of unstructured executive time. When he doesn't show up to the Oval Office, he's sort of doing something in the residence, we don't know what it is, and in the middle of that, he installs this machine. So, as you said, the White House says he hasn't used it at all, which begs the question of why he put it in.
And all the other presidents we could refer to in this area of how they used exercise equipment, every one of them made their daily schedules public. Every one of them was in the Oval Office at what we would all call first thing in the morning, and some of them much earlier than that. Donald Trump is known to arrive at 11 a.m. That's an early arrival for him. And so he's the one who has a presidential schedule that's unlike any other president before him.
That's right. And as you said, while running, before he was president, he made a huge part of his attack on President Obama was that Obama was lazy, basically, that Obama wasn't working hard enough, that he was spending too much time on golf, and that President Trump, if he were ever elected, would never waste time like that. He would work for the American people night and day.
And David Fahrenthold, your sources inside the White House you got leaks from inside the White House to get this information.
I work with another reporter, Josh Dawsey, who's a great White House reporter, and he was able to confirm it from inside the White House.
David Fahrenthold, thank you very much for joining us with your latest scoop tonight. Really appreciate it. David Fahrenthold gets tonight's last word. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.